When Audrey and the one that got away announced their engagement, I coolly handed in my resignation. I vanished overnight. Audrey frantically called my number, which went unanswered, hired a private investigator, and even considered filing a missing persons report. But by then, I was already in beautiful Santa Barbara, planning out the blooming seasons for my garden and capping off my nights at a local bar with a cocktail called the Gilded Dream. Life was a bed of roses, comfortable and sweet, right up until my little inn became an Instagram hotspot and Audrey caught a glimpse of my blurry profile in a post. On that day, the rain was torrential, and the flowers in my perpetually spring-like courtyard finally wilted. While Audrey Hayes and Julian were hosting their engagement party, I was at home, bored, tapping out my resignation letter. The wording sounds too dramatic. Delete. My buddy and subordinate, Cody, called to vent on my behalf. Harry, Audrey's getting engaged, and the guy isn't you. How could that be? Thanks for the reminder. They're all saying you're about to get kicked out. You can't lose to that phony. I quickly corrected him. He's the one that got away. The handsome, charming, unforgettable one. Everyone knew Julian was the white rose Audrey could never get out of her head. Besides, I added, haven't I already been suspended? But you were framed. Hey, I said, cutting him off. If Audrey didn't believe me, it didn't matter who did. I went back to typing my resignation. Cody had a thought. Harry, you're not really planning on leaving, are you? I nodded, then remembered he couldn't see me and grunted a soft. Yeah, he was even more against it now. If you leave, you'll never be able to clear your name. You're just going to throw away all those years of hard work? It's not worth it to do something out of spite. I stared at my fingertips and quietly shook my head. Cody didn't get it. This wasn't about spite. I genuinely wanted to go. Ding. Sent. Success. My name is Harry, and I grew up in a children's home. I knew from a young age that I was different from the other kids, but it never made me sad. I was lucky. They had moms and dads, and I had the women who raised me at the home. Other kids had to learn painting or piano with no say in the matter. I was different. From a whole range of hobbies, I chose gardening. I basically taught myself through observation and playing in the dirt. You could say I turned a hobby into a skill and that skill into a major. I fumbled my way into AG school, messing with flowers and plants the whole time. If all went according to plan, I'd be a happy little gardener someday. And then, the unexpected happened. Back then, Audrey wasn't CO Audrey yet, just a cool, standoffish girl. It was my fault, really. The forecast called for a storm that night, so I rushed to the lab to close the windows, only realizing after the downpour started that I'd forgotten my umbrella. Seeing no one around, I was about to make a run for it when Audrey walked by under a large umbrella. Hey, can I get under there with you? I yelled. She glanced at me and kept walking. Just to the main road. You'll be saving my life. Maybe my plea was so sincere it stirred some pity in her, because she finally changed course and walked toward me. The moment she saw my face clearly, she paused, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. Was I looking particularly dashing and suave under the moonlight? I doubted it, but who cared? Getting out of the rain was the priority. Where's your dorm? I'll walk you. Perfect. In the spirit of reciprocity, I pulled a small potted plant I'd cultivated from my tote bag. Thanks. This is for you. Don't want it, the cool girl said, a woman of few words. I'm allergic. Well, so much for us ever being friends. You know that feeling? After you meet someone, you start running into them everywhere. We gradually got to know each other, and eventually, we were seeing each other every day. I learned that Audrey was in the elite business school next door and that her family was loaded. Of course, I also learned that the real reason she was so friendly with me was because of him, the one that got away. Apparently, we looked a lot alike. One of Audrey's best friends had the exact same reaction the first time she met me. You look just like Julian. Whoa, should I have said that? Who? Julian. Audrey's childhood sweetheart. Too bad he dumped her and went abroad to study music. I don't think she ever got over it. The fast-talking friend suddenly realized her blunder and looked embarrassed. Don't mind me, I'm just rambling. I waved it off. It was fine. We were just ordinary friends. Later on, Audrey and I started spending more and more time together, getting closer and closer. Everyone thought we were a couple. Sometimes I did too. I never asked Audrey if I was just a stand-in. After all my years of gardening, I'd long since learned to seize the day. Life is hard enough. My philosophy was to enjoy the moment. When we graduated, she invited me to be her assistant. Well now, looked like she was heading home to inherit the family fortune. Tagging along for the good life while still having time for my plants didn't sound like a bad deal. From then on, she became the young Ms. Hayes, and I became her assistant, Harry. If I had to rate her, to be fair, Audrey was pretty good to me. It was like boiling a frog in slowly warming water. The more I saw her, the more I liked what I saw. And after she started coming with me to the children's home to visit the women who raised me and the younger kids, I found myself liking her more and more. At my insistence, she'd sit in a hole-in-the-wall diner, watching me eat until my face was shiny with grease, then pull out a few napkins with a look of disgust. It was fine. She thought I wasn't enough of a gentleman, and I thought she didn't know how to enjoy life and had no sense of fun. After 2 straight weeks of overtime, I was complaining endlessly, cursing the evils of capitalism. This time, Audrey knew just what to say. I'll give you a raise. But sometimes I really wanted to punch her. When we went to the movies, I'd pick a comedy, she'd pick an art house film. When I suggested a romance, she'd just say, "You wouldn't get it." Audrey's ringtone was an instrumental piano piece. When I told her it didn't match the energy of a woman in her 20s, she'd say, "You wouldn't get it." Worst of all, for my birthday, Audrey gave me a vinyl record of Ballade pour Adeline. I stormed over to confront her. "Audrey, it's my birthday. Are you seriously messing with me right now?" She justified it by saying, "If you don't get it, you should listen more." My initial happiness at receiving a gift was matched only by my shock upon opening it. I was floored that she would pull such a wild move. I definitely didn't get Ballade pour Adeline. What I did get was the urge to hold her head underwater to clear her mind. I don't get this, I don't get that. Who was the one who really didn't get it? Sure as hell wasn't me. I got it all. It was just that she still missed him. And that wasn't a huge deal. Doesn't everyone have one that got away? Although my therapist, Dr. Evans, says the unobtainable is always the most tempting. But the moms at the home also said, meet sincerity with sincerity. If you want something, you have to go fight for it. Since Audrey was my girlfriend now, I figured I should be good to her. A little better and then a little better still. That way, she wouldn't have time to think about Julian. Audrey was so busy managing a subsidiary that she often skipped meals. So, I made it my job to supervise her. I'd plan out her meals for the next day, trying new things all the time. I couldn't guarantee they'd be delicious, but they were definitely nutritious. It became the most important part of my day after I got home. Sometimes Audrey had to go to business dinners. I decided I'd go to every single one. If nothing else, I could take a few drinks for her, or kick her under the table when she was about to have too much. And if she really got drunk, I could at least have a glass of honey water ready for her. If I didn't get anything else out of it, all those dinners definitely improved my tolerance for alcohol, and I ended up taking more and more drinks for her. At first, Audrey would refuse, but later on, maybe the atmosphere was too good or the party was too lively. She'd forget. Eventually, she just stopped saying anything. If it weren't for the time my stomach ached after a night of drinking, I might have thought I was a natural-born prodigy at holding my liquor. And so we continued, a dynamic duo, conquering everything in our path. Until one night we both had too much to drink. Our gazes locked and lingered. Our bodies drew closer until our hair was tangled together. My brain must have short-circuited because at that critical moment, I asked her, "Audrey, who am I?" Audrey must have been completely wasted. She looked at me, confused. Then, it was as if she just recognized me. Finally, she shoved me away. "I'm sorry, Harry. Take tomorrow off to rest." Damn it. The girl I had in my grasp was gone. And damn it, the question I'd been holding back finally came out. For the next few days, we weren't alone together. I waited for her to come to me, to apologize and explain. But I have no idea what she was waiting for. That dense woman. We could be in a cold war, but the work still had to get done. Business is business, that's my principle. After rushing to meet deadlines for days, everyone was fried. When Audrey announced for once that there'd be no overtime because she had something to do, all the office drones with families, pets, and friends they'd been ditching packed up and bolted. I, on the other hand, had only myself to feed. With nothing better to do, I figured I might as well squeeze some overtime pay out of the capitalists. They all left. Why are you still here? The voice was familiar. It was Audrey's fast-talking friend. What are you doing here? She's not in. Said she had to go out for something, I said, munching on chips while watching a show. I know. A few of us are getting together for Julian tonight. I just stopped by to grab her gift for him. Her words tumbled out without a filter, a bombshell with no warning. So Julian was back. So that was Audrey's something to do. Why didn't she tell me? How could she not tell me? Julian was back. He came back with his pride and Audrey's affection in tow. Julian was clearly aware of my existence but didn't give a damn about me. The first time he came to see Audrey and met me, he looked at me with a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. I heard from abroad that Audrey had hired an assistant who looked a lot like me. I knew it had to be you. You really do look like me. Anyone who didn't know better would think we were brothers. Too bad I don't have any. Do you? Any brothers or sisters? Do they all look like you? Oh right. I heard you studied horticulture. Next time the plants in our yard need tending, I'll be sure to call on you. His words made me laugh. No problem. I'm great with flowers, and my rates are reasonable. I'll even give you a discount. Mr. Julian, next time you're here, let me give you a pitcher plant. It looks harmless, but it eats little bugs. It would suit you perfectly. Don't forget to ask me for it. Julian was furious. Don't you dare make veiled insults. What good is being a good gardener? Audrey's allergic, but she loves hearing me play the piano. She comes to every one of my concerts. Can you do that? I shook my head. I can't. But playing the piano isn't any more noble than gardening. The only difference is that you do it to please Audrey, and I do it to please myself. What's the point of all this talk? You think I don't know you like Audrey? But she loves me. You're just her assistant. He cut me off with a sneer before I could even speak. I've asked her about your relationship several times. She's never once said you were her boyfriend. Julian walked away, head held high. He certainly had the capital to be arrogant. Wasn't I Audrey's boyfriend? No wonder she was never proactive, never rejecting. No wonder I never got an explanation. She had never even acknowledged my status to begin with. How ridiculous. In the end, it was all just a foolish fantasy. A beautiful dream turned to nothing. I wasn't even acting like myself anymore. This was all wrong. I don't know what Julian said to Audrey. That afternoon, she sought me out for a rare private conversation. Don't say all that nonsense to Julian. He'll get the wrong idea. What a perfectly infuriating couple. Work continued, but Audrey never spoke to me alone again. Julian, however, made a habit of showing up to flaunt his position. He'd pour out the coffee I made right in front of me, calling it cheap. Fine. One less thing for me to do every day. He could drink it or get lost. After hearing that I used to bring Audrey homemade lunches, Julian whined to her that he wanted some too. Unable to refuse him, Audrey came to me and asked if I could bring an extra portion the next day. I nearly rolled my eyes into the back of my head. So I was just a prop in their little lovey-dovey drama. Sure, $100 a meal, flat rate. 2-meal minimum, no less. Okay, what did I ever see in Audrey? Rich and dumb. Julian had already taken over many of my assistant duties and won back Audrey. Now he wanted my little flower pot. Calling it a little flower pot was an understatement. Really, since it had never even held a flower. This time, Julian pointed to the empty little ceramic pot on my desk. This little pot is quite unique. You're not using it, Harry. Why don't you just give it to me? Of course I said no. It wasn't just that I already disliked the phony. This pot was special. I had made it myself. Audrey and I had made it together. She had shaped the rough clay, and I had refined its form. After it was fired at the studio, I spent 2 whole weekends carefully painting it, layer by layer. I wasn't willing, which made Julian even more determined. He insisted he had to have this pot. In the midst of our bickering, Audrey arrived. Audrey, I think Harry's little ceramic pot is really special, but he's so protective of it he won't even let me take a look. Could you talk to him for me? Julian grabbed Audrey's arm, his eyes taunting me. Audrey seemed a little embarrassed and gently pulled her hand away, but she couldn't bear to see Julian lose face. Harry, it's rare for Julian to be so interested in something. Could you? She paused. The words hand over the pot were apparently too difficult to say. Even someone as brazen as Audrey couldn't get them out. Why don't you just send Julian a link so he can pick one out for himself? At her words, Julian's face changed. So did mine. Audrey truly had a talent for offending everyone with a single sentence. That dense woman. She couldn't see that her old flame wasn't after the pot but was trying to get a rise out of me. Nor did she remember for a second that this was the little thing we had made together with our own hands. Sigh. Harry, Julian. It was clear where I stood. She didn't know a damn thing, and she had never cared. What was I even fighting with myself for? It was pointless. This pot is old and cracked. It's not suitable for Mr. Julian, I said, tossing it into the trash can. As for the link, it's long gone. If you like it so much, Miss Hayes, you can find it yourself. Another unpleasant ending. This kind of meaningless confrontation brought me no joy. They say flowers are unfeeling, but people have emotions. I disagreed. Flowers and plants were much more lovable. After that, Julian thankfully left me alone for a while, and I enjoyed the peace. But the good days didn't last long. The bid our subsidiary had been working on for over a month, with countless hours of overtime, fell through. Others might not have known, but I knew. This shouldn't have happened. We had schmoozed, glad-handed, and wined and dined them. To have the rug pulled out from under us at the last second was unbelievable. Harry, get in my office. Even with the low pressure in the office lately, Audrey would never use that tone with me. I had a very bad feeling. Harry, I'm going to ask you this very seriously. Did you, at any point, leak our bottom line? My head snapped up. A chill went through me. Audrey, the woman who had fought alongside me all this time, was now suspecting me of selling out the company. Harry, I never thought you'd be the type to betray us. Of course, he was everywhere. I have never, to anyone outside this company. Before I could finish, Julian cut me off with a snide tone. But I heard the leak came from an account with a little flower as its profile picture. Isn't that you? I took a deep breath, telling myself over and over not to argue with idiots. The important thing was to solve the problem. You heard? Where did you hear that, Mr. Julian? You're really overstepping your bounds. Audrey's face immediately darkened. That's enough, Harry. You have no right to talk to Julian like that. If Mr. Davis wasn't one of Julian's uncle's connections, do you think he would have even looked at us? Right? How laughable. Audrey was lecturing me about rights because of some supposed connection. I have no right? While you guys were throwing a welcome party for Julian, I was here working overtime, crunching the numbers. I have no right? I clenched my fists. So what? I'm supposed to thank him for letting me take the fall? I'm asking you one thing. Do you believe me or not? Anyone else could doubt me, but Audrey? She couldn't. I stared at her, searching for a flicker of doubt, a shred of trust. There was none. See for yourself. She slid her phone across the desk. On the screen was an anonymous message with a screenshot showing a data file being sent from my account avatar. I was so angry I laughed. If you believe a cheap trick like this, then I was wrong about you. Beauty really is a curse. Ever since Julian came back, Audrey had turned into a complete blockhead. Harry, Audrey is giving you a lot of face by not confronting you out in the open. Don't push it. Seeing them work in tandem like this made me sick. With a sharp crack, I yanked open the door to her office. Miss Hayes, I don't need you to give me any face. I know whether I did it or not, even if you don't. I was suspended. It was a decision Audrey made based on the existing evidence and company policy. Impartial, fair, and just good. Great. Audrey was responsible to everyone except me. I'd been working my tail off for Audrey ever since graduation. It had been a long time since I'd had a life of my own. The suspension was actually pretty nice. It was even better not having to witness their sickeningly sweet romance. The only problem was Cody, who wouldn't give my ears a rest, giving me daily frontline reports. Harry, you should have seen it. For the past 2 weeks, that Julian kid has been acting like he's the boss's husband, ordering us around, criticizing this, forbidding that. I think he might as well just take over himself. He did do one good thing today, though. He's holding a concert, so Audrey finally gave us the day off. Too much free time really does make you overthink. I started thinking about the past again. I remembered my birthday, how I had wanted Audrey to spend the evening with me, but she'd refused, saying she was too busy with work. My phone buzzed, pulling me back to the present. Harry, my concert is tonight. You probably don't want to come, but I heard Audrey is going to propose to me on stage. I still wanted to invite you to share in our happiness. The malice was palpable. Fine, I'll go, I told myself. It's time for my misguided self to wake up. The women at the home always told me that recognizing and correcting your mistakes is the greatest virtue. I was wrong, and I was willing to change. That day, I attended Julian's concert on time. From a lonely corner, I watched my first love come to an end along with Audrey's proposal. I spent a lot of time that day analyzing my failed relationship and finally came to a conclusion. I'm a great guy, but Audrey isn't worth it. To hell with those two psychos. To hell with being an assistant. I'd die before I ever worked as an assistant for someone again. Besides, I had never even had a real relationship. Once I figured that out, a weight lifted off my shoulders. While my emotions were stable and my mind was clear, I started writing my final masterpiece for the company, my resignation letter. It went from rambling to eloquent, then to profanity-laced, but in the end, I was magnanimous enough to wish Audrey and the company well, and to wish her and Julian a long and happy life together. The next day at work, everyone but me had witnessed their happiness. Julian accompanied Audrey as she went from office to office, personally handing out wedding candy. When they passed by the assistants' area, Julian stood intimately beside Audrey, acting incredibly considerate. If only Harry were still here, he would surely help us arrange all this, and you could relax a bit. Why don't you just end his suspension? Audrey placed a piece of candy on my desk, turned, and patted Julian's hand. Okay, I'll listen to you. We'll consider the matter closed. I won't pursue whether it was him or not. Cody, standing nearby, looked like he wanted to say something but held back. Finally, he caught Audrey's attention. He spent a long time trying to phrase it carefully before blurting out, Harry already resigned. Ms. Hayes, you didn't know? The once buzzing office fell silent. The click of high heels on the floor sounded jarringly loud. What kind of joke is that? Is he throwing a tantrum? If word of this gets out, how will he ever find another job in this industry? Cody, you ask him if he really wants to quit. After a moment of stunned silence, Audrey spat out, Let him, and slammed the door on her way out. The junior assistants in the office felt a chill, as if they were next on the chopping block. They probably never expected that I, the softest of pushovers in Audrey's eyes, would one day stand up for myself. A few of the younger women exchanged furtive glances, making sure the enemy was out of earshot before whispering, Harry really got a raw deal. He was so good to Miss Hayes, and in the end, he gets brought down by some trumped-up nonsense. I know, right? He worked so hard on that bid he ended up with a bleeding ulcer, and now he's being treated like a traitor. It's just not right. A bleeding ulcer? Who had a bleeding ulcer? Harry? Audrey had circled back, not expecting to hear this. The young woman jumped, startled, and immediately stood up, pulling a few bottles of medicine from my drawer. Miss Hayes, it was Harry. He's still taking stomach medication. Audrey froze. She knew how I got my stomach problems. It was from all the business dinners I'd gone to with her, from all the drinking. Back then, Audrey had asked me if it was hard drinking so much. I had handed her a bento box while casually teasing her. You think everyone's like you? Getting woozy from the smell of flowers or wine? I can drink you under the table. You're the one who needs to be careful. Audrey's face paled, and she looked almost helpless. Julian, noticing she hadn't returned, came looking for her. Audrey quickly composed herself, her face returning to its usual icy mask. See? Even knowing I had worked myself to the bone for her the second Julian called, she was gone. I don't know who was more pathetic, me or Audrey. And the only reason I know all this is not because I have any lingering feelings for Audrey, but because Cody's need to share is simply unstoppable. Days have passed since my resignation, and Audrey hasn't graced me with any reaction. But I no longer care. I heard that Julian still couldn't stand the sight of anything related to me and made Cody completely clear out my desk. I heard that Audrey walked past that empty desk every day without ever stopping. Until one day, she saw that annoying little flower pot again. Cody, ever the keen observer, said, "Ms. Hayes, that's the pot Harry left behind." He threw it away, but I thought it was nice, so I fished it out. It was the same dusty, plain little pot. Perhaps because its owner had abandoned it. A crack had appeared on its side. Julian, thinking a cracked object was bad luck, was about to toss it, but Audrey stopped him. "Give it to me." Maybe it was from habitually standing up for me, but this time Cody didn't obey. "Ms. Hayes, Harry made that himself. He's already resigned. Please just leave the pot alone." His words hit her like a hammer. The color drained from Audrey's face. She didn't respond, just snatched the pot and murmured, "He made it himself." As if remembering something, Audrey's fingers traced every corner of the pot, inside and out, finally finding the answer she was looking for on the inside of the handle. "Our initials, meant only for us." "What else did he leave you?" Audrey asked, her eyes red. "His playbook is full of his notes and reminders. Do you want to see it?" Audrey took the book I had meticulously filled, page by page, and returned to her office to read it in silence. From her preferences and dietary restrictions to how to coordinate her schedule and what kind of project proposals would win her approval, Audrey discovered that I knew her better than she knew herself. But now I had thrown it all away. The next time Cody contacted me, it was 2 years later. I had long since settled down in the beautiful city of Santa Barbara. This city of eternal spring and endless flowers was where I belonged. I always felt guilty about Cody. When I left, I didn't say goodbye to anyone, including him. But I truly missed him. I had been a loner for so many years, and it was rare to find such a thoughtful friend. Talking about my abrupt departure brought a wave of melancholy over both of us. He mentioned a name I had almost forgotten, Audrey Hayes. He said Audrey had nearly lost her mind. She tried everything, calling my unanswered number over and over, rushing to my apartment only to find it empty. She even went to the women who raised me, only to find I had been cold-hearted enough to leave even them in the dark. Finally, out of options, she hired private investigators and filed police reports. She did everything she could, but I never reappeared. That was the first time I ever saw her so broken. She would just stare at your empty desk for hours. She'd work herself to death and then spend every spare moment trying to find you. She wouldn't let Julian get rid of any of your things. "Harry, I think you won." Did I win? Not really, because I had put my own heart on the line too. But talking about it now was meaningless. I didn't love her anymore. Life in Santa Barbara is truly wonderful. I opened a small inn here. The inn has a courtyard filled with flowers, and almost every guest takes a picture in front of my massive flower wall. I also love the city's enchanting nights. She's like a gentle and mysterious woman who healed my heart and my stomach. Over the past 2 years, I've become good friends with Helen, the bartender at a local spot. Wherever there's a new drink, you'll find me. "Harry, come here." I was scrolling through X today and saw this guy who looks exactly like you. He's from Chicago too. What a coincidence. Helen was excited, quickly pulling up the account she had just followed. Of course, it was Julian. What a coincidence, indeed. I had just been talking to Cody about Audrey, and now Julian's account pops up. You know, his wedding prep diary is actually pretty interesting. Look at you, you guys look so similar, yet he's about to get married, and you're still single. You should really get on that. So they were getting married. That's good. That was always how the story was supposed to end. Similar faces don't mean similar lives. I snapped out of my thoughts and shot back with a laugh. Well, that's because you rejected me. You have to take responsibility. Get out of here. Don't you have any funny ideas? We have a purely platonic friendship. Before Helen could finish, she slammed her hand on the table, startling everyone around us. Oh my God, Harry, I'm sure this is you. You're trending. That's how it is in the age of viral content. You can become a story in someone else's lens at any moment. My little courtyard had gone viral. The reason? It was just too beautiful. I'm not just tooting my own horn, that was genuinely the simple reason. Trending along with my flower wall was half of my blurry side profile. I have to say, a casual shot by a famous photographer really does have a certain vibe. Before I could even feel smug about it, Cody's call came through like a heat-seeking missile. Harry, did you see it? The most beautiful in. Audrey is already on her way there. I can't save you. You're on your own. That kid. Well, what could I do? If she comes, she comes. This is my home now. I'm not running. I wasn't the one who did something wrong back then. I shouldn't have run away. Audrey arrived early the next morning. I had imagined our reunion many times, but I never thought it would be this calm. She didn't even have a suitcase, just stood there at the entrance to my courtyard. She looked travel-worn and haggard, completely drained. Maybe this was that beautifully broken aesthetic that's popular now. Audrey's eyes were red as she stared at me without blinking. It's been a long time, Harry. In the past, she had said my name in so many different tones. Cold, intimate, helpless, confused, angry. This was the first time it sounded so full of gritted teeth resentment. Why did you leave without a word? I figured since she had come all this way, she was a guest. Long time no see. Come in for a cup of tea. She stood her ground stubbornly. Why haven't you contacted me for 2 years? Who gave you permission to leave? The nerve. 2 years had passed, and she still couldn't understand plain English. Come in or don't. Just don't touch my flowers. I'm not taking you to the ER if you have an allergic reaction. I turned and walked inside. You ask why I left? Should I have stayed and continued to be your scapegoat? If I hadn't left, would I have had any career left in that industry? Didn't you know I love gardening? What did I get for giving up my true passion? Your ridicule, your suspicion, and your indifference. Did you ever once care if I was happy? Never. I became someone I didn't recognize. If I didn't leave, my passion for life would have just slowly eroded. I had to go. Audrey anxiously reached out, but I dodged her hand. I'm sorry, Harry. I know you were wronged, but it's not that I didn't believe you. I just couldn't find any evidence at the time, and I had to give everyone an explanation. I laughed coldly. So I was the acceptable sacrifice? She didn't speak because she had no way to refute it. After a long silence, Audrey took a small box from her bag. Inside were 2 identical small ceramic pots. I immediately recognized one of them as my old flower pot. Harry, I've kept this pot for the past 2 years. We made it together. It was my fault for not recognizing it back then. Audrey's voice grew softer, cracked after it was dropped, so I went back to the same studio and made a new one. Can you accept it? Audrey looked at me, her eyes filled with regret and pleading. I took the pot from her hand. Fine. Hearing this, joy instantly spread across Audrey's face. She stepped forward and grabbed my arm. Harry, will you come back with me then? I pulled my sleeve from her tight grip and shook my head firmly. Audrey, we're over. I'm only taking this pot because it was mine to begin with. The pot did nothing wrong, and I happened to have a use for it. Audrey spoke in a panic. No, Harry, we're not over. I was wrong before, but I do like you. I know you like me, too. There's nothing to be sorry for. Liking you back then was my choice, and I don't regret it. But now, I've moved on and started a new life. That's also my choice, and I don't regret that either. I cut her off. You should go back. Julian is still waiting for you. He's waited for you for many years, too. Don't let him down. That's not it, Harry. After you left, Julian and I had a long talk. We just confused our feelings for each other. The person I've truly loved all along is you. We're not getting married. It's just that our family's businesses are too deeply intertwined right now. Please give me a chance. Now that I've found you, I promise I'll sort everything out as soon as possible. I want to build a home with you. I was stunned. If Audrey had shown even the slightest hint 2 years ago that I was in her future, our story might have ended differently. But what's missed is missed. I did long for a family, for warmth, but I wouldn't chase a warmth I couldn't hold on to. Audrey, don't be so stubborn. You just can't accept that I was the one who left you. You just don't believe that I truly love you. Audrey's eyes were filled with an inconsolable pain. It's my fault. I brought this on myself. Finally, with a bitter laugh, she said, you can't kick me out. Believe it or not, I'm going back right now to handle things. I'll be back this weekend. Mr. Innkeeper, save a room for me. I'll pay. With that, Audrey turned and stormed off as if in a fit of pique. I didn't stop her. Audrey's brief visit didn't change my life at all. A realization that brought me a huge sense of relief. It's not that I'm afraid of trouble, but my life right now is just too free, too comfortable. I have no desire to complicate things. The next time Audrey came, Helen happened to be in my courtyard, holding her new cocktail creation, a waking dream, and hyping it up to the heavens. Who is she? The moment Audrey saw Helen, her face darkened. Well, who are you? Here to cause trouble for our Harry? Before I could say a word, Helen had her hands on her hips, standing in front of me. She turned, linked her arm with mine, and whispered in my ear, eager to stir the pot. Something's going on here, Harry. Spill the beans now. Audrey tried to pull Helen away. Tell her to leave. I need to talk to you. Oh, so a beautiful woman like me is an eyesore, is that it? Fine, I'm going. Helen said, winking at me as she backed away. I gave her a dismissive wave, and the world was finally quiet again. Harry, I know you're still upset about what happened. This time I investigated thoroughly. It was Julian, right? Audrey was taken aback. You knew. I gave a faint smile. Of course I knew. Things like that don't just happen by coincidence. Audrey, ask yourself honestly, did you really not know? You just didn't want to admit it was him. Otherwise, after 2 years and so many opportunities, how did you manage to figure it out so quickly this time? Audrey didn't argue, launching into another hurried explanation. Harry, I've already broken off the engagement with him. From now on, there will be no one else between us, and no more misunderstandings. I shook my head. Audrey, don't try to guilt-trip me. You didn't break up with Julian for me. You did it because he hurt your company and betrayed you. He wasn't worthy of you, and you two no longer had any feelings for each other. It had nothing to do with me showing up again. Perhaps my words were too harsh. Audrey's face went from pale to purple and back again. Harry, I don't deny that I was wrong before, but I'm willing to change everything you pointed out. You said you don't want to leave here, so I'll come to you. I can open a branch office here, transfer my business over, as long as you're willing to wait for me. Audrey grabbed my hand anxiously. I'm not willing. Audrey, don't you get it yet? I'm not willing to wait for you anymore. It was too tiring chasing after you, and it was too lonely waiting for you. I'm not willing to do either. I tilted my head and shielded my eyes from the sun with my hand, just like I used to as a boy, and asked her with a squint, do you know what kind of life I want? Audrey was silent. You don't, do you? I don't have any grand ambitions. I just want to be a little flower, facing the sun. I don't want to depend on a big tree, and I don't want to become one either. So, let's just call it quits. As for opening a branch here, don't be ridiculous. You know better than I do that it's not realistic. Are you going to throw away your resources, your connections, the entire foundation of your company? The more I said, the darker Audrey's face became. Her eyes reddened, and her voice choked. I can start all of that over from scratch. But I only want you. I shook my head, still resolute. To look forward to the sunrise, to have someone on my mind at sunset, to have purpose in my heart, to be busy but not lost. That is the life I want, but it's not one Audrey can give me. I really don't blame her anymore. There's no right or wrong when it comes to young love. Besides, I gained so much more than just a relationship. Audrey left. This time I walked her to the gate. Before she left, I had her take a small succulent with her, planted in the little pot we once made together. The little flower I couldn't give her when we first met was finally given. I'm sure I'll meet someone in the future who is willing to cherish this little flower of mine. It just won't be Audrey. Goodbye for real this time, my first love. Helen was waiting for us outside the courtyard. Audrey walked right past her without stopping. Helen rushed in recklessly, grabbing me. Who was that? Who? An old flame? I sighed. Yeah. The ex-fiancé of that guy you were following online. Helen's jaw nearly hit the floor. She gave me a thumbs up. A classic stand-in story. A man of few words and decisive action. Nicely done. Man, she wasn't wrong. That girl has a sharp eye. She looked pretty down when she left. Not happy at all. Did you heartless killer, break her heart again? I slapped away Helen's pointing finger. You talk too much. Her? She's got 9 lives. Lose one, she's still got 8 to go. Later, Audrey didn't come looking for me again, but she would often text me. She said she was taking good care of the little succulent I gave her. She said she would run the company well. She said she would visit the women and kids at the home regularly. She said she would always wait for me, but I never replied. Of course, I never specifically removed her from my holiday and in promotion mass texts either. I think when I finally meet the right person, I'll send her an invitation. Enough of that. Helen is bugging me for more gossip again. I've got the story if you've got the drinks. You're buying tonight.